Yeah, there was that moment where I discussed economics for 2 hours.
And we just like straight up like mic checked middle of the recording.
Oh yeah, because nobody
Twice.
liked anything.
We're recording. Those are rough.
Which one are we going to talk about first?
What are we gonna pick? Let's do the one I didn't watch at all. The violence.
Oh, okay.
one.
Acts of violence.
Acts of
Hey everybody, welcome to Thinking
Active
Outside of... Oh,
Mostly because I kept fucking forgetting it, and mostly kept going for history of violence.
shut up.
Okay.
Hey everybody, welcome to Thinking Outside the Longbox. I'm Gabe.
Whoa!
I'm Doyle. We're in the wrong seat, motherfuckers.
I'm Juan.
Do you snip Tim? Just now?
I don't know what
Tim
happened.
went.
Oh, okay.
Well, I got scolded, so I guess I already know.
Today we're going to be talking about a, oh my gosh,
He is your pick.
random acts of violence. That's what it's
Oh,
called.
this is the one I did not watch.
Oh, okay. So
Okay, let's go.
Doyle and I will have a great discussion about this one.
I'm sorry.
Juan, you want to talk about something?
I literally,
completely
it's it's a lame story, but I've been this week has been crazy at work, and I've put in probably 15 hours on the road this week.
Your work's been
And
crazy.
so,
I think we start break down, go to cyborg on me. I haven't slipped a date.
but I've been on the road a lot driving to go get cars that have been sold. So I watched a shit ton of I watched the Umbrella Academy.
Yeah.
And then the other one
And
I
see that-
forgot about this
I
one.
Mine-
almost got all the way through that.
Mine's the opposite. Like, I got about halfway through Umbrella Academy, and like, I had already seen this. That's part of why I picked it. So, just because I know, don't pretend like you guys don't do the same thing where you're like, I'm going to pick something I already watched.
Oh, for sure.
I only do that with the pop culture classics because I generally let you guys decide the rest because
TV
I'm not
show, I
out
actually
there.
try to do a relevant one.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do try to do a relevant one that I was already at least planning to watch.
Or are into
Yeah,
a
or
little
into
bit.
it.
Yeah. The movie, this one's really cool. So let's talk about it really quick. Do you have it pulled
Let
up?
me bring it up. Sorry,
Here
my
we
mom
go.
called me right in the middle of me trying to do this.
Yeah.
You're who?
My mom.
I'm sorry.
Mom.
There you go. You gotta say it right.
Just look how mad she is right now.
It's like a pissed off raccoon.
We're the worst.
We're the worst.
We're the worst.
That's not like I haven't heard that before
Worst
this
dad
fucking morning
From this morning.
from my kids.
You're not my dad.
Not yet.
I'm going CPS.
We're talking, and I put random acts of kindness, not violence. Damn it.
That's a very different movie.
If anything, I think
Trolls 3, Random Acts of Kindness.
there was no leap show was You're Not My Mom before one, not my dad. They're both around.
Random Acts of Violence is a 2019 Canadian-American slasher horror film based on the 2010 comic of the same name by Jimmy Palmiotti and Justin Gray. The film is produced and directed by Jay Baruchel, who wrote the screenplay with Jesse Chabot and starred Jesse Williams, Jordana Brewster, Neom Wilson, and Brashul.
Why are there always kittens?
I don't. The premise: Todd Walkley and his publisher Ezra made their careers crafting a comic book based on a real-life serial killer called Slasher Man. On a press tour to announce the launch of their final issue, they visit the town where Slasher Man wreaked havoc 20 years earlier. Upon their arrival, a series of new murders unfold, murders that look eerily familiar to imagery in Todd Slasher Man's comic. Speculation and paranoia build regarding the identity of the mysterious killer.
So, in the movie, the murder is not called Slasher Man. That's like the name of the comic book.
Yeah.
He's called the I-90 Killer. Like, so he has
Because he kills people on the road?
along Interstate 90.
Oh, nice,
Yeah.
okay.
That make it exceptionally easy to catch him, but no.
If the stomping ground is literally one piece of road.
We call him the I-90 Killer between
Well, I mean,
Country
it's a-
Road 76 and Country Road 79. That's the motherfucking years.
What's your intersection out here?
Yeah. He's called the 10th and 23rd
He
Killer.
only kills only kills people at mile marker 12.
Every Thursday night
Why do you think he only
called
kills
the dark
people in
and
such
weird
a
killer.
between 6 and 7.
in such a specific area? This gas station like 300 miles away.
He's called the Dark and Weird Killer. He only kills people that shuffle dark and weird on it. He also has his address up. Makes it incredibly easy to catch him.
Still haven't figured out where he's at.
Still haven't figured out where he's at though.
That's what I think about the motherfucker who stole my debit card that one time and bought like 300 Walmart gift cards. I was like, how did you not catch him? Was he not going to pick them up at some point? have them shipped to him.
Right?
So, the premise of the movie is really interesting because, like, here's this guy who you. FYI, as with every movie, there will be massive spoiler alerts.
Yes.
So the main
It came out in 2019.
The
We're past
main-
the point of
well,
spoiler
it
alert.
just came out on Shudder like last
This
week.
was like a not
okay.
a well-known movie.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Like it literally just came out as a Shudder exclusive like
Pretty
a
down
couple
about horror
weeks
scene,
ago.
and I didn't hear about this shit. That came out.
So when what you don't find out until the end of the movie is that the writer and artist of the comic book is actually one of the survivors of the I-90 killer. So what happened is when his mother was being murdered, the trauma of it, his instinctive reaction because he was already drawing was to draw the scene. And so that turned into his inspiration for the comic book. And then his comic book, by turn, inspired the killer to take his, like, job back up, effectively, because he considers himself an artist, too, and feels a connection with the comic book artist because he feels like they're kindred spirits. They're both these people trying to make art out of, like, horror. And so as a consequence, it ends up being like this really cool examination of like, can art cause violence or does violence cause art? And like, it's really interesting and it's way more, it's a way more thought out slasher movie than most slasher movies are. Like it actually has an idea behind it. It's not just what happens when an indomitable spirit decides that it doesn't like you anymore and is going to slowly walk until it catches up with you and murders you.
Like,
Like,
took a left, we're standing in front of it.
what the fuck? So
Let's see, machete, motherfucker. Get the guy here.
that's what I liked about it. Is so like slasher movies are so formulaic at this point. Like you know what's gonna happen. Like even a movie like Hatchet, like I talked about a few weeks ago, it's different, but it still follows the formula of slasher murders everybody. Like in this one, you don't know like if everybody's gonna survive or if people are gonna die.
I will say you don't know that part, and it is definitely a much more of a story than a typical slasher movie, but it is pretty easy to see. Like they don't
bury the twist.
Was it the manager or the opposite person of the writer, whoever was the survivor?
No,
the
the writer's
survivor.
the only survivor.
Because essentially, the killer, while he sees the comic book, doesn't feel the need to kill anymore. And the guy's going to end the run on his comic book, so the killer is like, well, fuck it, I'll start killing
Oh,
him.
so it's
Basically-
like that French series we watched.
Marianne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit, except he's not a demon.
But like the idea behind it is that
Or maybe he
since
is.
he's going to end the comic book, the killer
Yeah.
feels the need to continue the
The
story.
killer also wants to help him with his last issue because he keeps talking about he doesn't know how he's going to end it.
Nice.
So his last issue, he sets him up to be like, well, I basically made you who you are,
Now,
I'm
let
gonna,
me
like,
help you
yeah.
make this last issue.
because he wants to end the killer, wants him to get killed,
Hmm.
kill himself
It's
by the
nuts.
author.
So does the killer kill himself?
kind of, but no.
Like he kind of.
He offers himself up as the last issue.
It's interesting. Like it's a better movie than it really has any right to be. That's for sure.
It is. I mean, like
Plot
it's,
certainly sounds very interesting.
It
is.
suffers a little bit from the like
It feels
acting,
A little bit, yeah.
but it's still a decent like. It's more than a decent movie. I would say for a horror slasher movie. It's very good.
so
like-
this feels like a more thought out episode of Law and Order.
Yeah,
it's,
but
it's
from
a
a-
pretty bizarre premise, but this version definitely seems to have more in its toolkit than like a 30-minute Law and Order.
So you remember
episode.
I don't know, like if you guys saw Candyman, but like the first. Yeah, sorry, Mel.
The original?
The
the
original Candyman, it was like kind of advertised as a slasher movie, but then when you watched it, you're like, oh, there's actually kind of a fuckload going on in here.
Yeah.
Like that's how this movie is. Like you watch it and you start it, and there's literally no murders through the first half of the movie because it's like building a story that's
the old
like
school way.
yeah, like it sets up a lot of like crazy stuff and it makes it like tense a lot, but it ratchets up the tension until like there's a logical breaking point, as opposed to boom, on-screen murder.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's just it's better. It's better than the typical slasher film. Like, this is a huge part of why I'm loving having Shudder, is because I love horror movies and I get to actually watch like the ones that are not just the pedestrian PG-13 barely R-rated theater fare
If
that
you find any more cool shit like blood machines, I'm in.
oh yeah,
That's
dude.
my kind of jam right there.
Dude, there's all
Did
sorts
you watch
of
Raised by Wolves?
I haven't
It's
yet.
Blood Machine-esque.
Is it?
I really want to see it.
It looks
What did
blood
you just
machine
give me?
but without.
What?
My tongue is numb as a
That's because you just straight took crushed up Benadryl.
It went right to your bloodstream.
I'm sitting there like rubbing my tongue with my teeth. I'm like, is
Yeah.
it there?
But yeah, this, I mean, I highly recommend it. Like, it's genuinely a great movie. Like, it's a fun watch. It has an interesting story, and by the time you get to the end, you've definitely seen your fill of some nastiness. So
Yeah.
it's all the things at once, which is rad for a horror movie. Because a lot of the times you only get one of the things.
It's always good when you watch a horror
not-
movie
no,
and
thank you.
something is so horrific that it sticks with you for a little while.
Ooh, it's been a while since I've seen a movie like that.
The
Wow.
last episode of Lovecraft Country will do that to you.
Yeah.
Whenever you get caught up.
I'll get there.
Random Acts of Violence on Rotten Tomatoes. It's got a 58% critic score,
Okay.
and it's got a 29% audience score.
Really?
Yeah.
That's low.
You know why?
Damn.
People
you
don't
have
like
to,
it.
You have to think about the movie.
Like,
Like,
Juan's like, you know why? 'Cause it's not good.
it is good though.
I would say it's good.
So, what was its box office? Let's figure out how successful this film was.
I don't know. Do these have box offices?
It may have been released in
So
theaters.
it's
I can't-
Juan's
budget-
ultimate guide
its
to whether or not
budget
a
was-
film good or
Was
not.
3.5 million, but it doesn't.
So
Because
it-
you don't pay for it on Shudder. Because you pay for the service, right?
Well, I wasn't sure if it had gone into theaters because you never know.
Because it's a Canadian movie from last year, so
Exactly.
maybe.
Canadian.
Because there are a lot of things that are like Netflix.
Distributed at Tim Hortons.
Tim Hortons is fucking delicious.
If it was at Tim Hortons, it has a massive,
Yeah.
like it made a lot of money.
I don't see anything.
So it probably just went straight to. And here's what I've been noticing when we go to Rotten Tomatoes. If a movie you have to think about a little bit,
Crap.
it's
Except for
crap.
Darko.
I don't
No,
know.
no.
Dark had an amazing
Darko
Rotten Tomatoes
If you
score.
if you don't have to think about it at all, great score. If you have to think about it a little bit, terrible score. If you have to think about it a ton, great score. Like, it's that middle ground where like
I'll give you that one.
where like it's appealing to like a popular base of people. Like, this is being advertised as a slasher movie, but it's not. It's just a horror movie. You know what I'm saying?
Don't knock yourself out.
So, like,
leftover
So
money.
because you have to put a little bit more thought into it than Michael Myers, people don't like it. If it was advertised as more like a think movie, people would watch it and be like, it's just a horror movie. And so they dislike it. Like that middle ground of there's a little bit of thought, a little bit of plot, something a little bit more than either basic or going like balls deep into like existential crisis.
So we
Like that
have-
middle ground is unpopular with
So we
people.
have internet right here. Juan, let's rattle off some movie titles, horror specific,
Horror.
that you are like just like slasher to like a horror you have to think about and see where the ratings
So
are.
before we jump into that, because I like the idea.
Like 3 tabs.
Here's what some people are saying. A movie that thinks it's saying something about gratuitous violence and exploitation of real tragedy, but is even more hypocritically hollow than the films it purports to criticize. An exasperating serial killer, slasher movie, a loathsome film that seems to hate its characters, creators, and audience in equal measure. Man, these people do not fucking like this
See, but that's
movie.
I feel like that's somebody that's thinking too far into the movie.
Red-
Somebody
Like
said the filmmaker accomplishes some small budget gross wonders working on its tiny budget and writing strong performances for most of its cast. That was a good one. While the actors bring raw emotion into scenes that are funny and nightmarish, the characters never feel very deep, so it ends up a little. So I think that backs what you're saying. Is it's trying to say a little bit more, and I don't think for a lot of people it reaches what it's trying to say all the way.
It doesn't,
and I think that
feel
backs what you're saying.
I feel the same way because it's not. It's trying to cut a line between like two different things. It's trying to be a slasher movie, which is definitely like its own thing. So like look up Friday the 13th and let's see like the audience scores. But it's also not like Midsommar.
Yeah.
Like it's not. It's in this weird in between where it's kind of saying something, but also kind of not saying something.
So what I was thinking was something like a slasher movie, like Friday the 13th. Something that's kind of mental, like Ninth Gate, and then something like super mental, like Blood Machines.
So Friday the 13th is a 60% audience score, 64%.
That's surprising.
All right, so Ninth Gate is a really good example.
Ninth Gate?
Yeah.
That's gonna have a terrible score.
It will have a
but
terrible
because
score.
it's like it's a good movie though.
Yeah.
I like it.
43% critics, 57% audience.
So
So it's
far-
pretty
so
close
far
to
we're
Friday
I
the
thought it was
13th.
worse than that.
And then
What
what's
was
like a real think piece? Like I think Blood Machines is
I think
a
that one's
weird
gonna have-
example.
I think
I
that
don't
one's
think
gonna have a
Blood Machines is a
bad
real thing piece.
It's a science fiction movie.
So
French bag.
Blood Machines is 78% critic score, 62% audience score.
Alright, try
So pretty much everything's falling pretty close to
But
each
it-
other.
Shocking to me.
I do kind of think that little dip.
Try Sphere. That's a pretty
Oh, that's gonna have.
1998, Dustin Hoffman,
yeah, pretty psychological horror.
11% critic
Yeah.
score,
Yeah, people.
38% audience score.
And that movie's fucking great too. Like,
What's
it's
weird, and it is in that.
And that's
dip.
with an audience of almost 59,000 people who have
And
commented.
like that's in that weird dip too, because Spear is trying to be an action horror movie, but also trying to like be really intelligent. Like
Spear also suffers from the fact that like
Dustin
Michael.
Hoffman.
Well,
I
Yeah.
can't stand him as an actor.
but people actually read like Crichton's
Learn something new
books,
about Gabe just now.
That's true.
and so when you make a movie off Crichton's books, like it has to be somewhat.
That's why
either-
people hate
it has
a
to be,
timeline.
It has to be amazing or at least follow the book, and this was like pretty good and didn't follow the book that
at
well.
all.
So I think it suffered a lot.
That's a huge reason why people hated Timeline too. I don't know. I'm gonna do more research on this.
Timeline?
Also garbage.
Timeline's a science fiction.
I feel like it's
2003?
tracking, Gabe.
Ah,
Like
alright.
if things are too heavy.
That has a 45%
People just
audience
don't go
score
for
and
it.
an 11% critic score.
I do personally
Yeah.
like the movie Sphere because it's like
I do
it's
too.
an
It's one of my
actual
favorites.
think piece as far as alien movies go.
Yeah.
But if you read the book, it definitely. I mean, I know that's like a common thing, but it really like does not
Do the book justice.
at all. The book is
Yeah.
pretty badass.
All of Michael Crichton's books are pretty badass.
It is.
Like
The
I had
Lost
that.
World,
So
dope.
so when I read Jurassic Park for the first time, there's like a front page that's about how it's a true
Yeah.
story, right?
Yeah.
But like I was like, is this a true story? And I looked at like the publishing page, and
It
it has
does,
it has the paragraph that says, you know, like all characters in this are fictional. And I'm
Right.
like, but it says it's true. But it says it, and I walked up to my dad because I was like 12 or 13 years old. I walked up to my dad. I was like, which of these is true? Like, which one's fucking true? He's like, I don't know. Like, and that was like pre-internet. So I like literally went to the library. I was like, is Jurassic Park real? And they're like, excuse me? I was all, the Michael Crichton book. It says in the front that they're fictional, but there's this page that says it's all real. And the librarian's like, it's in the fiction section. like
That is what
you,
makes things for 30 minutes.
like
moment
you
where
are
you
the
want-
stupidest child.
It's one of those moments where you wish you were at least mature enough to go, I'm fucking 12.
Yeah. I get it. I'm just confused, asshole.
That's funny.
That's another one of those weird series where I like the second one better than the first one.
Lost World?
Even though Jurassic Park's
Really?
still amazing.
No, the
Wow,
books.
Oh,
The book.
oh!
The
I
book.
was like, I thought
The
we were talking about the
movie's
movie. I was like,
absolutely
what?
The movie is hot garbage.
But I do like the part where the
I
T-Rex
like the
is just
second
more-
one. I don't like the third one. I like the second one, but I definitely like.
I like the
100%
first
Metro
two.
Trash.
Yeah,
I love
so do
all
I.
those movies. They're all
I love
great.
the part of the T-Rex marauding around town. The whole movie is garbage, I think.
Literally.
The one of the T-Rex is just murdering people.
There's
at Sears.
so many
Straight
funny
up.
moments. That
Straight up beats that dog in the backyard.
Yeah.
fucking chains just hanging.
Like all I'm
Yeah,
gonna say
just drinking water out of the
Yeah,
pool.
yeah.
is that if there's
It's a
a
great scene.
if there's a movie with dinosaurs just like eating people and destroying shit, I'm in. Like it does not matter. Same with
I love
Godzilla
Jurassic
movies.
Park.
I will.
I think the
Did you
third
see
one
King
is
of
the
Monsters
weakest
yet?
of them all.
Yeah.
So good.
I will
The new
watch
show is
It's the
amazing.
perfect. It's the perfect monster movie.
the new show.
The new Jurassic Park show.
The cartoon?
the animated version.
Yeah, Hannah's
It is
watched like
not
all
what
of
you
it.
think it's not as like. When I first saw the animation style, I was like, "Oh, they just fucking
No, it looks
4-year-old Jurassic Park with it."
It's pretty
No,
good
the fucking
animation.
dinosaurs are still eating people.
Nice. Hannah loves it. Hannah loves shit like that too. If you ask her, one of her favorite
guys
movies.
to see the Meg.
Yeah,
like,
one
a
of her
couple
favorite
years ago.
movies is Crawl, which is the one where the hurricane like blows all the crocodiles into people's basements,
It's the one
Dude.
where crocodiles do not act like crocodiles at all.
and they like fucking eat half a dude who somehow is still alive. Like this dude gets his arm bit off in a basement with flowing water, which would keep his arm open and constantly bleeding, and he
He'd
lives.
die real fast. But every crocodile does not care about eating. They're just like, we're just killing everything.
We're just murdering people.
We're not even hungry anymore.
Like, this is not where we're used to being. Anything that moves dies, guys.
This child is a trophy kill.
I don't know. I recommend it.
Nice. Well, I'll give it a thumbs middle.
He'll give it a solid 50%.
Yeah.
Or give it a probably
No,
never
no,
gonna
no.
watch.
Thumbs middle because it sounds alright, but I didn't watch it.
How
I
about
have
you,
a
Tim?
feeling
Do you
you'll
give it a
never
rating?
As an artist, I'll give it a thumbs up.
Oh, there you go.
Anything about
That's
murder
someone who's
and
never
art
seen
and
it.
comics is
I liked
great.
it.
My completely uninformed opinion.
Well, because I saw a Law and Order episode that sounded very similar to this movie, so I really enjoyed that episode. So
I do fucking love Law and Order.
It's like, oh, I saw it.
One's like, I changed my rating.
Yeah,
I
you
give it a
fucking got
thumbs
me.
up. I love
Thumbs
Law
up,
and Order.
somebody listening is also like, I saw that fucking.
I fucking
I mean,
love Law and
there
Order.
I
are
think it's
so
a special
many
victims
episodes.
episode. It's not.
See, I don't like
It
SVU.
had to have been on there at some point.
Oh yeah, I don't think there's a
No,
plot.
not SVU. It's criminal intent. I think it's
Ah.
D'Onofrio's
There
show.
isn't a plot or like criminal incident that has not been covered by Law and Order. I'm
And if
pretty
there
sure.
is, it got tackled on in CIS.
or CSI, you mean?
Yeah.
No, the CIS one too?
NCIS.
NCIS.
They're all the
Oh.
same show.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
NCIS is like the weirder cousin, where they're like the Navy special.
They're just naval
investigation
cops,
team,
I think.
Yeah.
and they're like robbing from the FBI and shit. It's like shit that would not happen. What's the first episode of NCIS specifically, if I remember right? They steal from like the FBI and the Secret Service, and like the murders on Air Force One. I'm like, would never fucking happen.
Yeah.
The murders on Air Force One. You know people are getting murked on Air Force One.
And he's
all
walking
the
around Air
Oh,
Force
for
One,
sure.
talking
Especially-
about how it's exactly the same as the movie with Harrison Ford. He's like, that's exactly where the gun locker was.
It's in universe, bro.
Yeah.
That's another Michael Crichton book, isn't it?
No, that's a Tom Clancy book.
Yeah.
Oh, Tom Clancy. Okay.
A book that people also read that I don't understand.
I think Air Force One's a Tom Clancy book, isn't it?
I don't
I
know.
think
Maybe
so.
not.
Because Harrison Ford did a shitload of Clancy books.
Clancy books to me are like Goosebumps books. It's like, it's the same fucking book.
Yeah.
Over and over and over.
Different
again.
brown guy is the problem.
I feel like Goosebumps books are way more creative than Tom Clancy books.
They were
Who's
in the
that?
first 30 years or so, but then it just became like a rehashing.
Well, yeah.
Who's that?
R.L. Stein.
Oh, Arl.
Until they started doing choose your own adventure horror, and then it got a little different.
Because you don't know what's going to happen. 'Cause you're choosing your own
Because you're
adventure.
making it up as you go along. Because you choose it yourself.
I wonder how much time.
It's pretty far out.
I wonder how much time collectively I spent reading R.L. Stein books, because it's like a lot of time from when I was like 8 to 15.
That's how I feel about Stephen King books.
Well, yeah,
Definitely
that's
from the time I was like in 5th grade
That's from,
until
like,
I like
14,
graduated
yeah.
high school. All I read was Stephen King books
I
and
remember-
Dragonlance books.
I remember wanting to read Stephen King, but my parents and my grandparents kept giving me choose your own adventure books. So I actually had like almost a full fucking set of those things.
Yeah, but Choose Your Own Adventure is pretty awesome
Fuck
too.
yeah, dude, the ninja book was the shit.
Oh, the Ninja Game book?
The ninja choose your own adventure
Oh.
one.
There were like these game books where they were like self-contained role-playing games that were a choose your own
I've
adventure
seen
book. It
those
was like
too,
the
yeah.
Lone Wolf series, and then there was a ninja one too.
Yeah, I've seen them, but I haven't had one yet.
And they like encouraged you to get the whole series because like you would go into a boss fight, and if you had an item that you had gotten in the boss fight in like book 1,
Right.
the boss fight in like book 3 was like way easier. I don't know, it was pretty funny.
That's rad.
But you didn't need it. You just had to get good dice rolls. I don't know, it was nuts.
Amazing.
Anyway, what
Juan
do
wouldn't
you?
know anything about that.
Amazing.
He doesn't read.
Yeah.
I actually used to read a ton. I just don't have time for it.
So I guess I
Oh, your
have.
comics are at John's.
I read a shit ton. I read a shit ton of Stephen King when I was young. I read all the fucking Lord of the Rings books, the Silmarillion. I read all the offshoots.
What's on Stephen King?
Or not Stephen King, Tolkien books. Did I say Lord of the Rings afterward?
You
You did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I read a shit ton of Stephen King. Lord of the Rings.
No,
No,
what
no,
I meant
he
is
said-
I read a lot of Stephen
Silmarillion,
King's.
Harry
There,
Potter.
Plus-
there was a comment.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Juan. I heard the comment.
Just making sure it tracks.
Yeah.
I read a ton.
The Silmarillion's a hard fucking read too. It's
So
right.
were those.
A lot of
offshoots.
those
The
offshoots
history
are.
books are
Yeah,
hard.
a lot of
yes.
those are.
The history.
Because you
I-
have to be
I
a
pounded
fucking
through 'em.
you have to
It
be
was no
a
fun.
big Lord of the Rings fucking nerd to do that.
Like, you're reading those books to learn more about the Tolkien lore, but you kind of have to know a shitload about
I
Tolkien
agree.
lore
It's,
before you can even approach those books.
It's
in
like
the
reading
first
Deuteronomy
place.
in the Bible. It's like if you don't want to do it, but you got it because you
But
got to know where the Balrogs came from.
Also in Deuteronomy.
Yeah.
So what do you give this movie, Doyle? Since we haven't gotten that far yet.
I have like I guess 2 rating from like a slasher horror perspective. I would be like the 8 out of 10. Yeah, bacon, egg, cheese sandwiches. And then from the normal movie
You
perspective,
had to real quick think of a new rating
yeah,
system.
it's like from like a just like is this a straight good movie? It'd be slightly less, like 6.5 or 7. Because the acting I feel like is pretty crap.
It is.
But I still like the movie though. As far as slashers go, which I'm not like the biggest fan of, I think it's a very good one.
Fuck you, Doyle.
Just not a big
I
fan of
know.
slasher.
I know.
Neither am I.
I like
That's why.
Friday the 13th movies because it's just like I find that character interesting, but I don't.
It's
the
not
overall
even interesting.
genre,
Like I find it nostalgic. Like
That might be it.
So here's my problem is that I've not.
it's the same reason I like Leprechaun the movie because that's so
God.
bad.
Those are hard to watch.
damn
but
it,
they're
those are
so
so
bad.
bad.
They're
They're
funny
really
though.
funny.
They're funny. I
So bad
think
they're
I
good.
think my problem is when I was young, when I watched those movies, I didn't watch any other slasher movies. So I've never really delved into slashers. So I don't go into it saying I like this because it's a slasher movie. I just like that movie. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just rating it from 2 perspectives of people.
Right.
Who, like, if you like really love slasher movies, I think you'll really love this movie. If you're just like on slasher movies, I think you'll like it a little less. But it's still, I think anyone who watches it will come out. I feel like there'll be a.
I think it's
This
kind
is
of.
not a waste of my time. It was a good movie.
I think it's kind of the opposite. I think if you're really into slasher movies, this is going to be kind of a.
Oh yeah, maybe I guess because they don't
Like-
like thinking.
Yeah. Like there's not enough gore. There's not enough like real violence in it. Like it's not really an intense movie. Like it's. I don't know. I give it like probably like a 7 out of 10. Like I
Making
enjoy it.
cheeseburgers.
If you average both of my things, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Like
7 out of 10 criminal intent.
yeah, I would give this about 7 out of 10. Law
One
and Orders.
D'Onofrio's enough.
Yeah.
It's 7 out of 10. It's 7 out of 10 Law and Orders and about 2.5 D'Onofrios.
That's a lot of D'Onofrios.
Yeah,
He's a badass.
oh, I know. That's a scale of like infinity. So 2.5 is a really good score in D'Onofrio's.
1 D'Onofrio is
Like
pretty
1
fucking
That's
solid.
what I'm saying.
But
Yeah.
2 is like whoa.
Whoa. I gave it another
I've
half
been
of
fucking
D'Onofrio.
D'Onofrio'd.
It's like somebody just slipped you acid by accident.
Throw it
I've been D'Onofrio'd is a something.
It's better than being gaved, I tell you that.
He said gaped for anybody actually paying attention.
Not gaped.
Not- or gaped. Yeah, that'd be pretty bad too.
Yeah, that's a lot of things before I got gaped.
Have you been gaved, you might be entitled to compensation.
So you say you want to watch the new live? All right, let's do it. I don't want to get gaped. That means a weird set of options. Be the busting your asshole wide open. You're watching Aladdin. I'm like, I'm fine, I'll watch it. But
This is way the fuck off topic. You know what? I keep thinking every time I look at you in your fucking hair
What's that?
is Ace Ventura 2, where his hair's up and it kind of goes out like that.
The devil hair?
White devil, white devil. You speak what you do?
Your hair has that kind of.
Oh, yeah, it kind of flat tops when I don't pick it. So, shut up. No one likes you.
Now I have the mental image of Gabe with like 2 spears in his thighs, doing the dance like, it's in the bone.
can't help it but notice that you refer to me as white devil. This is how they know you.
I
This is
think,
how they know you.
I genuinely think I've never seen Ace Ventura 2.
Watch it.
Well, I guess we have a pick for next recording session.
Well, we already. Well, yeah. I
What do we
mean,
do?
we have
We
a
can
pop
make a
culture
live
classic
topic.
already, but yeah, we can do.
Like, I genuinely
One of the other
don't
ones?
think
We
I've
could do
ever seen that
both Ace
movie.
Venturas. That's a quick watch.
Oh, I hate the first one.
Oh,
Really?
fuck?
What the fuck is wrong with you?
That's a classic.
I just don't think it's funny. That one or Dumb and Dumber.
I think he needs to get duped now.
I think Dumb and.
That went fast.
Hey Mel, you got any Pringle cans?
Once you pop, you don't stop.
I can't tell if you're asking us to do this or one of the girls.
I went Pringles, she went paper towel rolls. So.
Yeah.
If she has Canada, Gabe.
She's all, he can take a lot more than the Pringles can.
You Pringles can't scare this man.
It's not even breaking a sweat.
Oh man, don't listen
Take
to
us out.
anything
Take
that's
us
being
out.
said,
Please,
Sophia.
there are children present. We need to kill this.
Anyway.
Let's go hanger this conversation.
Hey.
And on that note, be sure to check us out, TOTLB.com. That's where you can find links to all of our social media. And always, you can go to patreon.com/TOTLB to support the show. Lots of content coming out there. Like, how often are those videos coming out?
Probably 2 a week.
2 a week?
Yeah.
So,
I got the next one ready to go. I just got to put it up.
nice. I gotta make a few more. So, but yeah, be sure to check us out on patreon.com/TOTLB. That's.
Where do you want me to
I'm
put
getting
this?
there. Calm down.
motherfucker.
So TOTLB.com/shop, you can find our 3 newest
Okay,
shirts.
well, we had to move it
One
off
that's
the
just the
donut
plain
tray.
logo. One that's just the plain brain logo. One that is a picture of me with some 20-sideds behind me saying dwarf giant. And then one that's a beautiful picture of Doyle
Very
that says shits in bags. It's super classy.
Very elegant.
It is elegant.
Very tasteful.
So be sure to check that out, TOTLB.com/shop. We'll have a Perfect Life shirt and a BPE shirt coming up pretty soon. Just takes some time to make them.
We also need to do a.
The Michael Kirk.
With
Yeah.
with the hotline on the shirt.
Definitely. Well, it's going to have the hotline.
Phone line.
I think I'm just going to get a decal of the hotline and put it on my car.
And it says.
The phone line needs to be on the shirt.
And it's going to say stands tall amongst those he loved.
Yes.
We gotta
You gotta-
look for that episode again because there was some great ideas for the fucking
Oh yeah, there's.
for the shirt that I remember.
I got to talk to somebody that can draw the 7 dwarfs, but not the 7
Just someone like
dwarfs.
Fiverr
I could probably make that happen.
Like the 5
or
dwarfs.
Tim.
Yeah, we don't know
I feel
any
like
artists.
Fiverr would be cheaper.
Somebody in China or some
Yeah,
shit.
seriously, you pay him like $10.
Hey, this white guy said he'd do it for $50. Can you do it any cheaper?
Yes, sir. We have it done by tomorrow.
Ooh, that was incredibly racist.
No, it's fucking true though. The time zone thing
So
is
you know what I mean?
amazing.
Has
When
been
I
working on
send
this
stuff
piece
to
since
Mike,
fall.
it's done by the time I wake up in the morning.
Because they worked all day on it.
Yeah, and I slept.
Over your night.
It's amazing.
How do you
They've
do
been
that so
hurdled by the
fucking
computer
fast?
waiting to eat.
Like AC's wife, she does professional photography, and her photographer editor like lives in Siberia or somewhere. So she's like the same way. She wakes up from like her night shift when she's doing like the ballet
Yeah,
photos, and they're already done and waiting for her on the cloud.
Nice.
She's
that's
like,
awesome.
AC's cool. I
Well,
like AC.
speaking of,
AC wouldn't like.
Should
it.
we have honorary T-shirts like gray-haired gypsy wizard? do you think Ace would approve? I think he would.
I think he would.
I think he would.
Did you take us out, White Devil?
No, I'm working on it still. So we
An
talked.
outroing for
We
you.
talked about the website, we talked about Patreon, we talked about the shop, YouTube, tinyurl.com/TOTLB2. Be sure to go subscribe. We're really close to the amount of people
Five
that
away.
we need so
Five
that I
fucking
can
people.
stop saying the ridiculous tiny URL.
And
And then,
people, there are so many YouTube fucking sites.
and then
out
of
there
course,
that have
like
We're recording,
speaking of
right?
sweatshops, guys.
Yeah, yeah, we're recording too.
And wear
Yeah,
a mask.
this is gonna end up there. Speaking
I know,
of,
speaking of sweatshops,
If
so
you
like
watch
I
this
found
whole
out
thing.
that there was like an entire sweatshop full of midgets, but they were just there to pleasure Michael Kirk, but he died. So be sure to call us on the Michael Kirk Memorial
From all the
Hotline.
pleasurings.
From all the
Yes.
pleasurings. 970-573-6148. Let us know anything that you would like us
Do you think he
to
just
talk
stands
about,
there with his
anything
eyes
that
with his
you
legs
would like
open
to
and
talk
we all
about,
just
any
run
opinions
underneath
on
him like
anything,
this?
just straight ball tickling going on.
He's just standing there like this. This is for the YouTube channel. There's just midgets running underneath. And
Oompa, loompa,
Spirit
loompa,
fingering
just like
his tail.
you.
if we
Got
had
some
any small people
testicle
listening,
tickling
they're
forward.
gone.
of them running around in like a circle. Like they just keep going. It's like a figure eight.
I think small people don't like it when you call them Oompa Loompas.
With that said, I've been gay.
Midgets too. I'm talking about tickling taints. How's Doyle?
Joel's talking about tickling
Talk to you
taints.
soon.
I'm Mal making breakfast.